International Monetary Fund, IMF, has unveiled its latest World Economic Outlook at the annual meetings in Marrakesh. The forecast indicates a slowing trend in global growth, with estimates pointing to a decline from 3.5% in 2022 to 3% in 2023 and further to 2.9% in 2024. Well, joining us live from Marrakesh, Morocco, from the IMF World Bank meetings is Arise News correspondent Nkechi Nnana. Nkechi, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday. Now, World Bank Group opening press conference earlier this morning. You're welcome. Tell us more about the meetings earlier this morning.
Yes, that press conference actually was the first for Ajay Banga, who's the new World Bank president. He joined back in June and couldn't make it for the spring meetings, obviously, in April. And we all know that Ajay Banga comes with bright ideas, new reforms. He says he wants the bank to be bigger. He says he wants the World Bank to be looked at in terms of the impact and the output that it gives, rather than the financial donations or how much the bank donates to emerging economies or even advanced economies. And so during this press conference, he highlighted that, look, interest rates are likely to still be higher, and this will be an issue for countries who are in on high debt risk, and as well as talking about how he would love to increase the funding capacity of the bank. He says the ongoing reforms at the World Bank would lead up to 150 billion over the next decade. And so these are just some of the plans that the World Bank president Ajay Banga has been talking about at that press conference earlier today.
Now, Nkechi, what sessions or events are we expecting later on today?
I think most of the events for today have been done. We had the Global Fiscal Monitor today, which also reiterated that the IMF will be focusing, and the World Bank as well, will be focusing on climate financing. And they say the amounts that countries or emerging economies need for climate financing annually is $2 trillion. And this $2 trillion cannot be left just for public funds or for the government to do. And so what the government needs to do is to create a space where private sector can come in and invest and also help to mitigate all this climate disasters that's going on around the world. So that was what the Fiscal Monitor report, October report for the IMF gave us. And they also use the same data that the IMF uses for its World Economic Outlook and its Global Financial Stability Report. Another event that took place today was one focusing on debt distress and debt crisis. So many countries, emerging economies and developing countries and even advanced economies are on the brink of systemic debt crisis at this point. And so we just had a meeting to talk about the vulnerability and also how to make the restructuring of debt less lengthy and an easier process.
Well, so what about Nigeria's participation at these meetings? What more can you tell us?
Yes, at the IMF and World Bank annual meetings, usually we have the Minister of Finance, this year Minister of Finance and Coordinating Economy, who's actually the leader of the delegation, and you also have the CBN governor representing Nigeria at these meetings. Yesterday, we heard the IMF talking about or commending President Tinubu's administration's initial policy changes or effects that they announced, removal of fuel subsidy and also unification of the exchange rates. And we all know that the IMF and World Bank have always called for this. However, Nigeria's growth projection was was revised downwards from the 3.1% that they predicted back in July. It now stands at 2.9%. So what's the problem? These policies that the World Bank and IMF have been calling for Nigeria to implement have been implemented, but it's not looking well for us. And so at these meetings, what we're expecting from the Minister of Finance, who's on ground here in Marrakesh and has been going back-to-back meetings we've been trying to grab and we haven't had a chance to do that. And we're also expecting the CBN governor to join in later in the week. What they need to do, or what Nigerians are expecting them to do at these meetings, is to give us those fresh ideas, those fresh policy initiatives that they intend to take to have monetary policy and fiscal policy working hand in hand to steer our economy to a soft landing.
Arise News correspondent Nkechi Nnana, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.